knowing what you know now, if you had people insulated in the administration that basically hated Trump, which is insane to me. Like
we have people like General Kelly. I mean, think about it. General Kelly was the chief of staff.
Yeah,
that is one of the most powerful people in the world. And I love them. Marine Corps is my favorite service. I spent 2.5 years teaching at Quantico. I love the Marines. And it pains me to say he was a subversive. He should be in prison right now. I mean, think of this. Corey Lewandowski, good buds with the president. Never worked in the administration, but he'd come in all the time to talk to the president. And he'd never tell Kelly. Kelly would get irate. He'd get pissed. And I can tell you this because Corey said this in a Fox interview. One day, he was coming out of the Oval. Kelly saw Corey, grabbed Corey, and flung him against the wall so hard he ripped the button off his jacket.
General Kelly did that to Corey Lewandowski.
Yeah, and said, you don't effing come in my building without my permission.
He was chief of staff at the time.
My building? Nobody freaking elected you to nothing. Oh, yeah, you're a big, Marine retired. Nobody elected. My building? That cannot happen again. What are we going to do about it? There's only 2 jobs I'd be prepared to do in the next administration. One of them is personnel. There's another person who's already been
vetted,
given the nod, and he's a friend of mine, and if he gets it, we've had a discussion, I'll help you in whatever way you need. Reagan said it best. Policy is personnel. Personnel is policy. It doesn't matter what your issue is. I'm a big Second Amendment guy. But whether it's sanctity of life, whether it's the border, whether it's economy, it doesn't matter what your issue is. If you don't get personnel right, you're not going to get anything done. Rule number 1, if we win, if we do our part, we have to have a filter system that only allows people who love America into the building. End of story. So it's not about Trump. It's not about Republicans, people who love America.
Who would those names be? Meaning, because the criticism is some of the older guys don't want to come back. This person's not coming back, daughter's not coming back, Kushner's not this. Nobody wants a job back. Everybody's kind of hesitating. Who would be the part of the new team?
Yeah. So I'm working on an article that's exactly those for my Substack, the names of the cabinet and who should come in. This is a challenge. My friend has the morning show in DC, Chris Plant, great radio host. And he said one of the greatest successes of the left in the last 20 years is to guarantee that good men and women will never work in a Republican conservative administration. And he's right. Why would you? Why would you be a Justice Kavanaugh even? Why would you risk having loonies come to your house with zip ties and a gun to kill you and your children? I thought I was used to it, but then when I came into the administration, they came after my wife. They came after my son. There was one journalist who wrote 52 hit pieces on me in 2 months. One of which was about my 18-year-old son and used the word traitor in the headline. About my high school age son. Why would you do that? So it's going to be a challenge. What I said to Mike Flynn at the beginning, the National Security Advisor, I said, because we inherited a National Security Council, there's 420 people. It was insane. Obama created this massive NSC. And I said, Mike, get rid of them all, send them back to their agencies, because most of them come from state or CIA or DOD. And put some good people at the top of each one as senior directors, and then let's fill it with people from the campaign. Let's bring in people who work their ass off to get President Trump elected, who don't know the difference between Sunni and Shia, but give me 6 months and I will train them. I will be there. They will be there till 10 o'clock at night. They will learn the rudiments of national security, and at least they'll be loyal to the will of 64 million Americans. And a week later, Mike was fired.
So you want to bring in greenies, or do you want to bring in some big names?
Well, I think we've got a year and a half. No, we got a year and a half to find cadre and to convince people. We've got to have the top line locked in. We've got to have the cabinet members. We've got to have the senior directors. We've got to have the DASDs, the assistant secretaries, all locked in. But it can't be. I don't want to get into too much into it, and tell me if I'm talking too much. All the big appointments used to go through our office, through Bannon's office. So we'd get these spreadsheets every week of people who want to come into the administration. There was one spreadsheet we received, this is unclassified, of people who are applying to the top jobs in the DOD, like Assistant Secretary of Defense, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense. And I looked at the spreadsheet before I gave it to Bannon, and I said, where are we getting these names? Because there's a column on the right-hand side, referred by. 4 of the people on this spreadsheet had been referred by Michelle Flournoy, Michelle Flournoy was Obama's, top Pentagon official. People actually coming into the Trump administration are putting Michelle Flournoy. I mean, just put, Podesta. Just put Axelrod, why don't you? That can't happen again. That cannot happen again.
Yeah, it's going to be, that part is going to be interesting to watch who's part of the cabinet, who's part of the team, because some people, the criticism of first term was the fact that the draining of the swamp didn't happen. And I wonder, is a part of it where, you know how in fights, or game, you lose the game and the opponent hug each other, or even in UFC, hey man, this was a great fight, you're really great, you really brought it, and I got to give some respect to him, this fight wouldn't be this way, and then you become friends. Is it almost there's a side of you when you go into this space that is filled with backstabbing, dirty, and you're like, you know what, I think they're gonna be noble, so let me have a meeting with Romney the next day, let me bring these other guys in, and then you're like, let's make this work. Maybe I can change them. Maybe if they really see how good I am, we can really unify this group. And then you make the mistake of keeping the Comeys, keeping everybody.
Yeah.
Like, no. Yeah. They're not who you think they are. This is not capitalism. This is not business. This is not corporate. These guys are darker and dirtier than you think. Stay strong and bring true believers in. Is that the evolution that he had to go through with his first term?
Yeah,
Okay.
and also he's in a territory that he's never been in before, right? I'm a geopolitics guy. I'm a broadcaster. Don't ask me to play concert piano. It's not. You will have a very bad concert.
Or who won the Celtics Heat game?
Nuggets or whatever it was, right?
No clue. Is that a cricket match?
Cricket or rugby, right? So he's in a completely new environment. But to your point, two things. Let's talk about the left and let's talk about our side. On our side, the establishment really thinks he's a joke. He's an anomaly, that the American people just chose the wrong person by accident. They really think, Chris Christie's going to announce. Jabba the Hutt's going to announce. Does he really think that anybody in America is going to vote for him? Asa Hutchinson? You could literally be a diplodocus from prehistoric times and you're running for the presidency? The establishment thinks that Donald Trump is a blip. It's an accident. We're going to get back to normal and footsie under the table with the Democrats and the sweet deals with China and we'll be fine. He's just weird. It's just an accident. It's perverse. Get back to normal. So you can't deal with those guys because they think you're a freak. And the other side, let me give you an example. I was thrown in day 3 of the administration, right? Because we dropped the travel ban and it was not well communicated. And I could see that it wasn't being well communicated. So I texted Bannon on a Friday night. I said, Steve, we got to explain this better. Like, this isn't anti-Muslim. This is based upon a threat assessment that Obama left us of the 7 nations that cannot tell us who the people are who are coming across the border. This is their threat assessment. We're just initiating it. And Bannon, typical Bannon, doesn't sleep. 3 a.m. he texts me back. He says, "Tell Spicer now to use you." Now, I didn't go into the administration to do media. I went there to do behind-the-scenes national security. So, okay, Spicer, Bannon says use me. So I am literally dropped into the pit of hell. The Saturday morning, Sunday, Friday, doing all the CNN. This is the fun stuff that people keep talking to me about. When I destroyed Cuomo, when I was on with, MSNBC, and I was an effective communicator. After I was effectively communicating all this stuff for the president, Senator Durbin wrote a letter to the Secretary of Homeland Security to investigate my naturalization and to have me kicked out of the country.
Dick Durbin from Illinois?
Yeah. This isn't a political difference. This is when the other side thinks, I can destroy you. You must have lied on your immigration papers. You must be deported because you're an effective communicator for the president, right? This isn't politics. This isn't, Tip O'Neill having a beer with Ronald Reagan, Friday night. The left wants to destroy us.
Every week they got together. Every week. Once upon a time, there was a time in this country where Tip and Gip would get together and have lunch in Rose Garden, and there was a certain nobility of it, and where they were. Let me ask you a question.
But let me just add to that. Think about what Brennan has said.
John Brennan,
still has his security clearances. He's a former CIA director. On national cable television, he said the incumbent president is a traitor who works for Russia. Excuse me? I mean, politics has been dirty for a long time. But to say the guy in the White House actually works for the Kremlin, that's not politics. That's evil.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.